Dr. Fahath, Chairperson of the Council of Justice of the Peace of Sri Lanka, Dr. Jehan Perera, Executive Director of the National Peace Council, Dr. Ilango Gandhi, National Director of CJP Sri Lanka, esteemed members of the Council of Justice of Peace Sri Lanka, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening to all of you. First of all, I am honored to have been invited as one of the guest speakers, and I consider it's a pleasure to address you today on the subject of justice and peace in Sri Lanka. It is indeed, I am disqualified to talk about peace in front of Dr. Jehan Perera. I can talk about a little bit about human rights. Dr. Jehan Perera is one of the senior giant leading in the peace process and peace activism in Sri Lanka for many decades. So I'm highly honored to stand before you, Dr. Jehan. It is a topic today. It's not a critical topic for this organization, but also for the country as a whole. Justice and human rights. As a community leaders, you have a unique role in promoting, protecting the rights of all members of our community. It is essential that we work together to ensure that justice is served and that human rights are respected. Justice is about fairness and equality. It means that everyone is entitled to the same rights and opportunities regardless of their race, gender, religion or any other characteristics. Injustice can lead discrimination, oppression, inequality, which can have devastating consequences for individuals and entire communities. When we think about human rights are the basic rights and freedoms that are entitled to every human being. This includes right to life, liberty and security of person, freedom of speech and expression, the right to education, health care and housing, and so on and so forth. When these rights are violated, it can lead to a profound suffering and sense of helplessness and hopelessness. As community leaders or justice of peace, you have a responsibility to ensure that justice is served and human rights are respected. This means standing up for those who are vulnerable and marginalized, advocating for policies and practices that promote equality and fairness, and working to eliminate discrimination and prejudices in all its forms. As you are all aware very well, justice and human rights are the fundamental principles that ensure that the fair and equitable treatment of all individuals, regardless of their any social or other characteristics. These principles are enshrined in the Constitution of Sri Lanka, and it is our responsibility as members of this organization and the community to uphold them and protect them. In recent years, Sri Lanka has faced several challenges concerning justice and human rights. Some of these challenges include the violation of the rights of minorities, the use of torture and arbitrary detention by law enforcement agencies, and lack of accountability for human rights violations. I wish to quote several incidences. Number one, discrimination against vulnerable communities. Sri Lanka has a history of discrimination against vulnerable communities. This discrimination has led human rights violations, including extrajudicial killing, enforced disappearances, and torture. Second, lack of accountability. There is a lack of accountability for human rights violations committed by several law enforcement officials, agencies, and other authorities who had powers and other facilities. This lack of accountability has perpetuated a culture of impunity. Impunity means you commit a crimes and go unpunished, where individuals and institutions can violate human rights without fear of consequences or punishment. Number three, restrictions on freedom of expression. There are restrictions on freedom of expression in Sri Lanka, including, we heard once upon a time, there were series of censorship on freedom of expression. Censored. Certain things you can't talk in public, you can't write in public, you can't telecast, you can't broadcast, you can't write about those things. Then harassment of journalists and limitations on online content also. These restrictions have a chilling effect on free speech and limit the ability of individuals to express their views and opinion freely. Number four, weaknesses in the justice system. The justice system in Sri Lanka has several weaknesses, including lengthy delays in court proceedings. We know very well, delayed justice, denied justice. We talk about justice. Once it's delayed, justice denied. And corruption and lack of resources. All these factors are affected justice system in Sri Lanka. These weaknesses have led to a lack of access to justice, particularly marginalized or vulnerable communities. Finally, poverty and inequality. Poverty and inequality are major challenges in Sri Lanka since independence. They contribute to human rights violations as well. Poor communities often lack of access to basic services such as healthcare and education, which can exacerbate their vulnerability to human rights abuses. So, addressing all these challenges requires a concentrated or concerted effort from all the stakeholders, including government officials, civil society organizations, and individuals like you all. It requires a commitment to promote justice and human rights, strengthening justice system, and ensuring that those who violate human rights are held accountable. As member of this organization, you have a crucial role to play in addressing all these challenges. You can't bear just a title, Justice of Peace. You have a crucial role to play. You must work together to promote justice and human rights in Sri Lanka by raising awareness, engaging in advocacy, and promoting legal reforms. You can do this by raising awareness of human rights issues among public, because you work with public, you stay with public, and you function and you service for public. You provide your service to the public. People must be educated about their rights and encouraged to report any violations they witness without any fear. We must also engage in advocacy by speaking out against violence or any violations against human rights. As Justice of Peace, you have the responsibility to ensure that justice is accessible to all. You must work to promote equal access to justice for all individuals in the society, regardless of their socio-economic backgrounds. You must also work to ensure that justice is delivered in a fair and impartial manner. Another crucial aspect of promoting justice and human rights is upholding or holding accountability for those who violate these human rights. We must work to hold accountable those individuals and institutions that violate human rights, including law enforcement agencies. In conclusion, Justices of the Peace, this organization, the Council of Justice of the Peace in Sri Lanka, you have a significant role to play. Promoting justice and human rights in Sri Lanka, you have started with educating your membership and the public, and in the future, the real role of Justice of the Peace will be achieved, and the people will enjoy, people will get the benefit of your services. Therefore, you must work together to raise awareness, engage in advocacy, promote legal reforms, and you must ensure justice is accessible to all and those who violate human rights are held accountable. Let's work together towards a future where justice and human rights respected and upheld in Sri Lanka. Thank you.